Hello, my name is Joe McLean. I decided to feed my midlife crisis with the purchase of my first Harley. After a year of putting around on my XG 750, I went to Battleborn Harley-Davidson in Carson City, Nevada. I test drove a 2024 Lowrider ST. I thought I'd owned a Harley, but I found I was mistaken. One ride on the new bike and I was addicted. Purchasing the new bike put me automatically into HOG, Harley Owners Group. I quickly met up with the membership officer and joined the local chapter, and it opened up a new chapter in my life. Group riding is fun, but group riding in northern Nevada is breathtaking. This is the first video of this series and will show some of the beauty and the thrill of the many rides available in the area. This is the first ride, which is Ride for the Heroes Challenge. Just under 7 months, I have already over 12,000 miles on my new bike. In my first year that I owned the XG 750, I only put 2,700 miles on it. Two things contributed to this: the difference in the ride capabilities of the bikes and the group riding dynamic. When I started my midlife crisis mission 2.0, I went to Reno Harley. I had over 40 years of riding experience, mostly off-roads and all on rice burners, Japanese manufactured motorcycles. That gave me the limited knowledge of the Harley brand other than the brand itself. I bought the 2016 XG 750 because I could afford it, and it had the Harley bar and shield on the tank. The XG 750, otherwise known as a Street 750, has a 749cc displaced version of the Harley 60-degree single overhead cam V12 twin. Its water-cooled Revolution engine dubbed the Revolution X. The make was introduced to trying to bring new riders to the brand, and the MSRP of $8,099, it was much more affordable than the big cruisers Harley is famous for. It was first introduced in 2014 and stayed in production until 2021, when it was discontinued because of poor sales. The bike was excellent for riding around and short trips, like the name said, street, not highway. It lacked the power and comfort for the long rides. The Lowrider ST is presented as a sports touring motorcycle. On my test drive, what sold me was the engine. The 117 is a high output version of the Milwaukee 8 117, known for its strong performance and torque. Hailing an impressive 1923 cc's compared to the meager 749 I was riding, It gave me a real introduction as to why Harley has been a revered road bike for so long. My salesperson Spike took me on a test drive. We started on surface streets in light traffic for a few miles. It handled well and I quickly became comfortable with the fixed fairing and other design differences. We got to the on-ramp of the freeway and I can only assume Spike had already assessed that I could ride, so he signaled me to go for it and accelerate. I did, and was impressed to see I had reached 70 miles per hour by the top of the short off-ramp. We cruised down the freeway past the dealership and got off, then through 2 traffic circles and back onto another on-ramp. This time he signaled for me to really push the bike. By the time I reached the top of that slightly longer off-ramp, I was doing over 90. Got back to dealership and it was just a matter of getting a monthly payment that fit my budget. I now owned a 2024 Lowrider ST. The next selling point was getting out on the road. The XG750 at freeway speed felt like I was holding on and trying to keep the bike going. On the Lowrider, I was gliding down the road. The XG topped out at 85 to 90, but the Lowrider, it was almost just idling at 85. The power underneath my seat was excellent at getting me away from the pain-in-the-ass four-wheelers that occupied my road. Just after the initial break-in period, I took an 1,800-mile run through Arizona, California, and then back to Nevada. After that, I was totally hooked. As much as I enjoyed the solo ride, riding in a group added to the experience exponentially. Quickly learning the rules of spacing and common hand signals and other minutiae, sharing my road with like-minded people had me out every moment I could. Series will start in northern Nevada. This ride began in Minden, Nevada. Now, in the interest of remaining truthful in these productions, most of the good riding and the sights are actually in Northern California, specifically in the Sierra Nevada mountains range. Nice curving roads through pine forest, it seems around every curve is another river or lake. We started on Highway 395 in Minden and then quickly switched to Highway 88 on our way to our first destination, Eagle's Nest Harley-Davidson in Lathrop, California. The purpose of this ride was to do 5 dealer check-ins and log miles. Harley-Davidson National has set a challenge. When the national members of HOG log 1 million miles, Harley will donate $1 million to benefit heroes. Some of you may have seen the Facebook reels from the actor Robert Patrick on his ride from LA to Atlanta to finish his work on his latest TV show. Let's Ride Challenge, Ride for the Heroes, started in March 2025 and will end at the end of October. This ride had only 3 members of the chapter. We were doing a makeup of a larger group ride. I myself had another solo ride scheduled in Southern California, and one of the others had experienced mechanical issues and their bike had to have an extended stay at Harley-Davidson in Folsom. This smaller group could travel faster than the largers, so we tried to get all 5 check-ins in one day, skipping the overnight stay the original larger group had. If you can make out the LED readout of my speed, please don't turn me into the CHP. The real fun of this ride was on the trip through the Sierra Nevada range, on the way to the California cities. First stop was in Jackson, California, a historical mining town of 5,000 people. Then on to the first dealership, Eagle's Nest, which was a nice facility. And after over 2 hours of riding, we took our time with the mileage checklist and gladly drank down the water offered to us by the sales staff. Next stop was Mitchell's Harley-Davidson in Modesto. We had lunch here at a pizza restaurant next to the dealership. Good food at a good price. Not sure how the pizza was, we all had sandwiches, but it all looked good and the sandwiches were great. After lunch, we then traveled north to East Bay Harley-Davidson in Livermore, California. Again, long ride on the freeways, made a long rest at the dealership necessary, and of course more complimentary water. Next was further north to McGuire Harley-Davidson in Pacheco, California. It was also at the end of a good ride, but we had to keep it short because we were burning daylight and the time dealerships were open was quickly coming to an end. We pulled into the last dealership at 5:30, met at the door and informed that they were closed. Calmly, we informed them that their website said that they were open until 6 p.m. and that we had traveled from Carson City, Nevada to do the check-in for the Let's Ride Challenge. They did take a few minutes to do the mileage check, but we were unable to buy our poker chips. Each dealership has custom poker chips to collect, and of course for an overpriced sum, Harley sells wall displays so you can mount and show to your friends all the places that you spent money at. We made a group decision to skip the last dealership and the list because of a quick look at our GPS showed us that we were getting back home just before 11 p.m. Rode hard back to Nevada, returning to Minden on Highway 88. We did have an exciting wildlife contact, met 4 deer on the road, even one doubling back trying to take out the lead bike, but that just resulted in us in a close-up video I'm still trying to get a copy of. The day resulted in almost 600 miles of riding, 5 dealers, and putting all 3 of us in the black and orange tier of the challenge. What that means is that in addition to the win therapy of 10,000 miles, we have a chance to win one of 5 motorcycles being given away and a $5,000 cash prize attached to each bike. If you watched this video to the end, thanks very much. I know it's a lot more fun riding on these roads than watching me ride on them. As I mentioned before, this is the first video, and as I get more familiar with the equipment and my editing software, I hope the entertainment value will increase.